With increasingly limited space in urban regions, architects have resorted to building higher and higher. New York was, of course, the birthplace of the modern skyscraper, and in the past century, the concepts and shapes of these structures have far surpassed what the original designers could have possibly envisioned. Now, they're a common sight in cities wherever you go. So, join me for today's video. We're going to travel around the world to explore the top 15 most incredible-looking skyscrapers and buildings. Number 15. The Burj Khalifa, Dubai. The record holder for the tallest building in the world has changed countless times in the past century, but since its completion in 2009, the Burj Khalifa has remained the tallest human-made structure on Earth. Forming the central part of a new development in downtown Dubai, it was built in just 5 years from reinforced concrete and structural steel, and reaches a height of 2,722 feet, or 829.8 meters, which is just over half a mile. Its design incorporates traditional architectural styles from the region, with 27 setbacks in a spiral shape, and as well as being an aesthetic choice, these actually help to lower the pressures exerted on the building by the wind, by controlling the way the vortices and eddy currents form. Even with this, the Burj Khalifa still experiences huge forces at the top of the tower, and it can sway as much as 4.9 feet or 1.5 meters. Engineers also had to design new systems to ensure the skyscraper was built to last, and that conditions inside were comfortable, particularly due to the intense desert heat. So it has more than 26,000 reflective glass panels and architectural glass that keeps temperatures under control, and it stops it from magnifying the sun's rays. It takes a team of 36 people to clean the windows over a period of 4 months, and even then, this job requires a custom-designed robotic cleaning system to cover the top 27 tiers. 57 elevators grant access to 163 floors, and the building holds the record for the fastest-moving double-decker elevator, which reaches a top speed of up to 33 feet per second. The Burj Khalifa is truly an engineering marvel, and while there are several projects underway looking to go even taller, it's still to be seen if that's actually possible. Number 14. Central Park Tower, New York, United States. Skyscrapers offer unparalleled views across the surrounding area, but there's perhaps no vista as stunning and as in demand as what residents get at the Central Park Tower in New York. Located on Billionaire's Row, it's the second tallest building in the city and is, as the name would suggest, next to the most famous park in the world. Believed to cost around $3 billion to construct, it was completed in 2020. It reaches a maximum height of 1,550 feet, or about 472 meters across 98 floors, and has a total of 1.28 million square feet, or more than 119,000 square meters of interior floor space. The first 7 floors are used by the Nordstrom department store, and the remaining space is used for residential and amenities. There are 179 condos ranging from between 2 to 8 bedroom options, with the cheapest studio apartment being listed for $1.5 million, and the 20 largest being sold for more than $60 million. Even among this lavish luxury, the penthouse is on another level altogether, and with its own gym, ballroom, observatory, and private elevator, was reportedly purchased for over $250 million. Looking out across Central Park, there's no better vantage point available in New York. Amenities on offer include the so-called highest nightclub in the world, a swimming pool, an exercise center, and a theater. And after its financial success, the developers behind the skyscraper are already developing their next big project. Number 13. Petronas Towers, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Dominating the cityscape of Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, and once the tallest structure in the world between 1998 and 2003, the Petronas Tower still hold the record as being the tallest twin skyscrapers on the planet. Reaching a height of 1,483 feet or 451.9 meters, they each have 88 floors and feature architectural influences from Islamic art and traditional building designs of the region. Connecting the two is the highest double-decker sky bridge in the world that's on the 41st and 42nd floors, which itself is 558 feet above the ground and weighs 750 tons. Amazingly, it's not actually fully attached to either of the two towers, because the way that it would sway in the wind would risk breaking it, so instead it's been designed in a way so that it can slide in and out. The vast majority of the 4.5 million square feet of floor space is taken up by commercial tenants, with Tower 1 being fully occupied by Petronas, the Malaysian oil and gas company. and Tower 2 being used by various organizations such as Microsoft, Boeing, Bloomberg, and Reuters. Tower 2 is also slightly different in that it has venues that are open to visitors, like the Petronas Philharmonic Hall, a discovery center, and an observatory deck on the 86th floor. Number 12. Gakuen Cocoon Tower, Tokyo, Japan. Located in the Nishi-Shinjuku district of Tokyo in Japan, the Gakuen Cocoon Tower was completed in 2008, and it's now the second tallest educational structure in the world. At 669 feet or 204 meters tall, it's far from being the tallest in the city, but it's definitely one of the most unique, with a design chosen from an architectural competition that saw 150 proposals being submitted. It has a curved shell of white aluminum with dark blue glass being used throughout, and crisscrossing white diagonal lines, all of which are intended to be cocoon-like and symbolize the nurturing of the students that's taking place inside. With 50 floors, it's essentially a vertical campus and is home to 3 institutions: the Tokyo Gakuen, which is a fashion school, HAL Tokyo, which is an IT school, and Shuto Ikko, which is a medical school. The tower has an inner core in which there's an elevator and a staircase, and on each floor around this core there are 3 classrooms. With other spaces used as student lounges, it can accommodate as many as 10,000 students at a time. As well as being put on the map by winning a number of architectural awards when it was finished, the tower's position was carefully chosen with the hope that it would revitalize the local area and create a hub between Shinjuku Station and the CBD. If anything, it far exceeded all expectations, and it's now seen as one of the most prestigious educational facilities in Tokyo. Number 11. F&F Tower, Panama City, Panama. Most skyscrapers are built in similar shapes and forms, but that doesn't mean it's the only way that tall buildings can be constructed. Designers at Pinzon Lozano Associate Architects were taking part in a theoretical experiment where they came up with a radically different idea, and a potential client just so happened to be visiting at the time. They were so impressed by what they saw that they funded further development and construction, and the result was the F&F Tower that stands 796 feet or 242.9 meters tall in Panama City. Also known as the Corkscrew Tower, it's made up of 52 floors that are twisted like a helix around a central concrete core. With 654,000 square feet or just under 61,000 square meters of interior floor space, the spiral design also enables there to be 4 balconies on each floor, something you rarely see on skyscrapers for practical and safety reasons. Another design choice with this tower was to use glass on it that, instead of being transparent, has a green-blue hue, and particularly on sunny days, this causes the tower to glimmer like an emerald. Despite its novel design, the F&F Tower hasn't exactly been a success since it was completed in 2012. After being ridiculed by local media and communities for its strange appearance, organizations have been unwilling to rent the floor space, and it still remains largely unoccupied. Number 10. Jinmao Tower, Shanghai, China. Holding the record for being the tallest tower in China from when it was completed in 1999 until 2007, the Jinmao Tower, which is in Shanghai, is 1,380 feet or 420 meters tall and has 93 floors in total. It's thought to have cost around $530 million to build, and immediately became a landmark skyscraper in the city because of this design. 2 taller buildings have now been built near it too, which has created the first district in the world to have 3 super tall skyscrapers in close proximity to each other. It sat on a 260,000 square foot or 24,000 square meter plot of land, but within the tower there's 3.1 million square feet, or almost 290,000 square meters of floor space. A large amount of this is leased out as office space, but there's also a number of publicly accessible parts, such as a large food court, a shopping mall, several restaurants, nightclubs, and the Grand Hyatt Shanghai Hotel. Occupying the 53rd to the 87th floor, this is one of the highest hotels in the world and holds an unusual record, as it's where you'll find the longest laundry chute ever built that runs the full length of the tower to the basement, and even has buffers to slow down the descent of anything that's put into it. On the 88th floor, there's also a 1,000-person capacity observation deck that offers panoramic views across Shanghai. The dedicated express elevators to this level travel at almost 30 feet per second, which means it takes just 45 seconds to get to the top. Number 9. Messeturm, Frankfurt, Germany. Found in the southwestern district of Frankfurt in Germany, the Messeturm, which means the Trade Fair Tower, was completed in 1991. For 6 years, it was the tallest building in Europe and is now highly regarded among skyscrapers on the continent for its design aesthetic, which is similar to several towers that were built in the United States around the same time. It's built on a huge 20-foot deep foundation, and even the construction of this set a world record for the longest ever concrete pour, with it taking 98 trucks more than 78 hours to fill. At its base, it has a footprint of just over 18,000 square feet, but across the 63 floors, it provides 664,000 square feet, or almost 62,000 square meters of floor space. Despite its name, it doesn't host any trade fairs at all, and it's used entirely as office space. It does, though, overlook the Frankfurt Trade Fair grounds, and at 843 feet tall, it can be seen from all over the city. The designers wanted to incorporate geometrical shapes into the design, which saw them use a square base that then rises and becomes cylindrical, and is then finished off by a 119-foot pyramid at the top. This unusual combination has led to many locals referring to it as the Bleistift, which means pencil. Number 8. The Shard, London, England. The tallest building in the UK is the glass-covered skyscraper known as the Shard, which was completed in 2012 on a site in the London district of Southwark, that's on the south bank of the River Thames. With relatively few tall buildings in the city, it's a landmark structure, but hasn't been without controversy. Reaching a height of 1,016 feet, it has 95 floors, of which 72 are habitable, and offers almost 4.3 million square feet. Inside, there's a 26-floor office complex that's used by 32 different corporations, as well as 3 restaurants, a 5-star hotel called Shangri-La, the Shard, 10 exclusive residential apartments, and the highest viewing gallery in London. It's the shape and design of it that's most unusual, though, with the architects describing it as being a spire-like sculpture that rises up from the river. It was one of the original criticisms that called it a shard of glass through the heart of historic London that would ultimately inspire its name, and this completed structure has a total of 11,000 panes of glass. One of the other criticisms of the tower is that it appears to be unfinished, but this was a purposeful decision on the part of the designers. Originally, it was planned to be even taller, but its height was limited because of the concerns surrounding how this would affect the safety of flights from a nearby airport. Rather than redesigning it, they instead decided to build it to the plans as high as possible and stop there, a decision that was seen as aesthetically interesting, but wasn't popular with everyone. Number 7. Evolution Tower, Moscow, Russia. Located on the second and third plots of the Moscow International Business Center in Moscow, the 55-story Evolution Tower was completed in 2014, just after 3 years of construction works, and it instantly became one of the standout sites on the city skyline. It was funded by Gazprombank and organized by Scandic Development, and it's believed to have cost around $500 million, which was a worthwhile investment because in 2016 it was purchased by Russia's state-controlled oil pipeline transport company Transneft for $1 billion. It reaches a maximum height of 807 feet and across all the floors provides just over 1.8 million square feet of floor space. It was designed in a neo-futuristic style. The thing that makes it unique is its unusual twisted form, which was specifically chosen to mimic the double helix shape of DNA, with the architects behind it saying that this represents the interlinking of individuals, generations, and families. To create this effect, each of the floors is rotated 3 degrees from the one below. But the clever thing about this design is that it allows for the central column and 8 support struts to be completely vertical. Along with the construction of the tower, there was also a huge investment into the redevelopment of the region around the tower, and ever since it opened, it's been credited with revitalizing this area. Number 6. The Bow, Calgary, Canada. Downtown Calgary in Canada has a number of unusual structures, but by far the most ambitious and unusual of all is the Bow. It's a project that was first announced in 2006, and after working in line with local interests to perfect the design, construction began in 2007. It took 5 years to complete and at a cost of 1.4 billion Canadian dollars was built for Encana, an oil and gas company, and is now used by its 2 successor companies, Ovintiv and Cenovus, as their headquarters. Rising 774 feet above the ground, it was seen as the beginning of a redevelopment project for Calgary's downtown East Village and is the second tallest building in the city. It has 58 floors in total, 53 of which are used for office space, with just 2 used as retail space. And spaced through the structure, there are 3 sky gardens that the public can access. Altogether, it is 2.15 million square feet of floor space, with it taking up a footprint of just 30,000 square feet. The name The Bow was chosen for 2 reasons, the first being its amazing crescent shape, and the second being that it overlooks the Bow River. Originally, the plan was for it to be 36 feet taller than it is now, but its height had to be changed because of concerns about how its shadow would cast over nearby scenic sites around the river. Number 5. Hamra Tower, Kuwait City, Kuwait. If you've ever visited Kuwait City in the past decade, there's no way you could have missed the Hamra Tower. That's because at 1,358 feet high, it's by far the tallest building in the city. The incredible structure is the current world record holder for being the tallest curved concrete skyscraper on Earth, and because of this design, it won a number of awards in 2011 when it was completed after 6 years of construction work. Believed to have cost $500 million, it has 83 floors and a total of 3.1 million square feet of floor space. To give it that shiny glow, the exterior is covered with wrapped glass and Jura limestone, which also helps to prevent light from reflecting elsewhere. But perhaps the most impressive feature is inside, where upon arrival you'll find yourself in a 79-foot-high lobby that's completely column-free. The higher parts of the tower are exclusively used as office space, but there's also a large shopping mall there too, which capitalizes on the tower's status to attract customers. Despite being seen as a success, the city officials are hesitant to authorize any other super-tall skyscrapers for the time being, which has left the Hamra Tower almost looking alone amongst the shorter buildings that surround it. Number 4. Aqua, Chicago, United States. Designed by Studio Gang architects and often voted as one of the best places in Illinois, the 859-foot-tall Aqua skyscraper has 82 floors and first opened in 2009 after being under construction for just 2 years. It's estimated to have cost around $300 million to complete and is owned by Aqua Realty Holdings LLC, which leases it out for mixed-use purposes. There's just under 2 million square feet, or 185,000 square meters of interior floor space, and it was the first in downtown Chicago to offer a mixture of retail, commercial, and residential units. There are 747 apartments in all, as well as the first Radisson Blu hotel in the U.S., which offers a further 334 rooms. In the design process, the architects wanted to ensure residents had unrivaled views across the city, and this led to the inclusion of stretched balconies which give the building its strange, undulating appearance, which was said to have been inspired by the limestone outcroppings that can be seen around the Great Lakes. As well as being ahead of its time in terms of sustainability, with features such as natural solar shading, a water-efficient irrigation system, and energy-efficient lighting, the Aqua's concrete slab structure is integral to the way that the heat is dispersed throughout and helps keep it at a constant temperature all year long. For those living there, though, it's probably the top floor that was most appealing, with gardens, gazebos, hot tubs, a swimming pool, and even its own running track. You could quite easily spend all your time there without ever needing to leave. Number 3. Scandic Victoria Tower, Stockholm, Sweden. Located in the Kista district of Stockholm, Sweden, this bizarre-looking Scandic Victoria Tower is probably as far from the typical design style of tall buildings as you can get. At 384 feet tall, it was completed in 2011 and holds the record for being the tallest hotel in Scandinavia. Set across 34 floors, the T-shaped building has a glass and steel facade that changes color from blue and gray to green and yellow, depending on the light and weather conditions. It's believed to have cost around $90 million to construct and is entirely used as a hotel with 299 rooms. The ground floor also has 2 restaurants where there's a sky bar on the 34th floor to give incredible views out across the city, with the interior being adorned with classic and contemporary Swedish design features and a huge amount of natural Douglas fir wood to keep a homely vibe. The structure itself looks incredible, but the main criticism of this tower is really to do with where it's been built. The Kista district is more of a scientific and economic center than a place for tourists, and the distance to travel to central Stockholm means that it isn't ideal for people visiting the city on vacation. With very few restaurants or attractions nearby, it can unfortunately feel isolated. The developers originally hoped that it would encourage investment to the area, but it has instead been a lesson that location is just as important as design when it comes to creating a viable skyscraper. Number 2. Torre Glorias, Barcelona, Spain. Barcelona in Spain is notorious for its amazing architecture in almost any direction you look, but the building that's probably the most creative and interesting is the Torre Glorias. Seen as an example of high-tech architecture, it was designed by Jean Nouvel, a French architect, and was built between 1999 and 2004 on the edge of the city's technology district. Almost cigar-shaped, it's 474 feet or 144 meters tall, with a diameter measuring 128 feet or about 39 meters, and it's got a total floor space of just over 500,000 square feet. The majority of this is used for office space, but because of where it's located, a proportion was also reserved for use by research institutes, and since it's opened, it's been at almost full capacity. It was constructed from reinforced concrete, but has a glass facade that was made by creating more than 4,500 window openings that were cut from the concrete. While in some cities a building like this might have been hated, the Torre Glorias has become a symbol of Barcelona, and it's now so popular that it's become the focal point of the New Year's celebrations in the region. One of the reasons it's the ideal venue for this is that it has more than 4,500 lights installed around its exterior that can be operated independently, meaning it can be used to create images and stunning light shows to act as the core display of nighttime events. Number 1. Taipei 101, Taiwan. Originally known as the Taipei World Financial Center, Taipei 101 was the tallest structure on Earth from when it was completed in 2004 until 2009. Measuring 1,667 feet or 508.2 meters tall and with 101 floors, it's centrally located in Taiwan's capital city and has a postmodernist architecture style that borrows from traditional Asian aesthetics, but with more modern materials and construction techniques. One major thing that had to be taken into account when building something this tall, for example, was ensuring that it would be able to endure earthquakes and tropical storms that are common in this part of the world, so engineers had to make it flexible but also structurally resistant. Surprisingly, it was built just 660 feet or 200 meters from the nearest geological fault line, so to overcome this, it was built on a foundation that included 380 piles that were each driven 262 feet or 80 meters deep into the ground. Also within the design is a huge 728-ton steel pendulum that's suspended from the 92nd to the 87th floor and can sway in a way that counteracts movement in the building that would otherwise be caused by powerful winds. According to the developers, Taipei 101 can, as a result, cope with typhoon winds and the most powerful earthquake that's happened in the past 2,500 years without suffering any damage at all. Whether during the day when the blue-green glass curtain walls are lit by the sun, or at night when the structure is fully illuminated, the skyscraper is a stunning sight to see, and it's a destination in its own right. On the lower floors, there's a huge shopping mall, and while most of the rest of it's taken up by office space, there's a restaurant on the 85th and 86th floors, and one of the highest outdoor observatories on Earth on both the 91st and 101st floors. I'll see you next time.
Watch our binge-watching playlist if you'd like to watch all of our most popular top 15 videos. Grab a drink, grab a snack, and get ready to binge.